As some of you guys know, I learned a lot about HEs and mollies from @Fnatic a few months back. Well, I found a new god tier util damage team, and it's not who you think it is. This tweet was the inspiration for this video. Going on HLTV and filtering for the last 3 months with a top 50 ranking filter and all maps, and you sort by utility damage, the highest ADR team for util is Endpoint. This resulted in me looking at their Vertigo and finding some very interesting things that I want to share in this video. Endpoints are like barbarians on the A ramp of Vertigo. They will constantly be trying to take it aggressively at the beginning of the round. As you see here, they bounce a flash and jump into yellow immediately, and then they will throw the lurk smoke that lets them creep up behind it and contest for ramp no matter what. When the CTs begin to start using counter nades to try and get them out from behind the smoke, they will continue to go by flashing through it and contesting still. This full send style of play is something you'll typically see out of Endpoint's Vertigo, and it's very different from what you'd see in a professional match today, where teams will typically try and swap as much utility towards the A ramp, trying to get control of it as possible. Or they'll wait until all the CT util is gone, like in this round. As soon as all the CT utility is gone, Endpoint decide to rush up A and get the bomb down on this force buy round, and it actually works out well, and they steal a round for Movie Star Riders. Endpoint's overtly aggressive style of play on T side does have its drawbacks, however. As you can see here, they play very individualistic, which means that they can get picked and give up a lot of opening kills really early into rounds. Another thing is because they play so individualistic, their coordination on things such as teams boosting on them isn't that great. So as you'll see here, they get another early pick on Endpoint by boosting. Where Endpoint need to improve, however, is what to do after they've already taken control of ramp. As you can see here, their protocols for what to hold and what people need to be doing are not very crisp, and it allows the CT aggro to get 3 kills. So at the start of this video, I talked about how Endpoint is leading the world in utility damage. However, on the T side of Vertigo, I have not shown very many nifty nade sets that they use. That's because Endpoint honestly does not use their nades very aggressively on the T side. They use their guns very aggressively on the T side, and most of their util damage comes from their CT side. As you can see here, they do pull off a nade stack against Movie Star Riders. However, this is a very rare occurrence for them, and I think if they finally start to slow down more and use the info and use their time to set up these nade stacks, it'll change them from a good team to a great team. So that leads into the question, what makes Endpoint's CT util damage so high? And it's actually because of their very unique style and unique approach towards ramp. However, as you can see here, they are able to still play it normally. They smoke bottom ramp and use their nades through the smoke to do damage. However, what I'm about to show in their match versus Endpoint is completely different and is uniquely beautiful to Endpoint. The first thing you need to understand about Endpoint's CT philosophy is that the HE grenade is king. It's good at stopping rushes at B, and it's great at doing chip damage on ramp at A. So, Endpoint, even though they lost the pistol round, all buy an HE grenade, and it's important if you want to play like Endpoint that you adopt the same philosophy. Here I'm doing a side-by-side comparison with Movie Star Riders' ramp control compared to Endpoint's. On the left you'll see Movie Star Riders' very normal way of taking ramp control, and on the right you'll see Endpoint's unique way of taking ramp control. As you can see, the smokes land in very different locations. So here it is, Endpoint's unique way of taking ramp control. Instead of smoking deep ramp, they decide to smoke deep yellow, and then Ivy flash, which gives them control of Ivy, because they can basically dictate the entire fight. They have to run through a smoke into a flash, and that favors the CTs greatly. They then use the T-side lurk smoke as cover for themselves, as you can see here, and all of ramp is smoked off from the Ts. However, there's a sneaky little thing that this does for Endpoint. But first, I wanted to show how to throw the deep smoke. To throw the smoke, what you want to do is come to this corner and line up with the gray beam that is right past the corner of this wall. While crouched, go from the corner of this out slightly enough to where you're not going to hit the corner there. It will then bounce off this little beam, plop down, and land there. Here's for the fun little caveat of the strategy. If the Ts throw their lurk smoke into the sandbags, like a lot of teams do, this smoke will leave a small little gap underneath it, which acts as a one-way for people bottom ramp. This is very unique. I understand that many people will be skeptical to its effectiveness. So I'm going to dissect every nade that is typically thrown in this sort of ramp control to give a better understanding of how it works, how it's effective, and how it enables Endpoint to get so much util damage off. So I'm going to again throw the smoke so you can understand how it's thrown. Come to the corner, slide out until you see the metal beam. From this corner, while crouched, come slightly out so you don't hit the wall, bounces off of there, and goes down to there. So this enables people to peek Ivy without having to worry about an opper. However, what do they do if people are running through the smoke and up into Ivy early? Well, they have two ways of dealing with it. First of all, they can deal with it by just flashing and fighting. So you come to this corner, aim off this corner, and throw. And that's a very simple Ivy flash, as you can see, very blind. And if I come down here, you can see the trail there. Anybody running up is going to be full white. However, if you're afraid of teams rushing and beating that, Endpoint also has the ability to throw this Molotov. They just come along this box, aim at the line there, and throw. That will bounce and land right there, so anybody running up here is going to have to run through a Molotov to get to you. Then the flash will trap them right here, between the smoke that will be down here and the Molotov that will be down here. This will effectively give you control of yellow, which is the same priority they have on their T side of Vertigo, where they try and rush and get priority of yellow as well. Now, to understand why this enables so much action towards this ramp position. First thing you need to understand is that with that smoke up and this smoke, it forms the one way at the bottom. That, again, oh, it fell through. Interesting. But that allows the operator to peek here. I've already shown that example. But what isn't shown in that is that anybody that is trying to beat this style is going to naturally creep up along this side behind the smoke. So, basically, what Endpoint is doing is instead of taking control, they are then filtering the players into one spot that can then be dealt massively by damage. So, the smoke will come up here, and Endpoint has also thrown the smoke by themselves, where they'll come along here, and they'll just bounce it off that wall. So they have a lurk smoke for themselves to use this sort of strategy with. And basically what they're doing is they're funneling the T's away from yellow, because that's mollied. There's a smoke here that they're going to have to run through, and it's getting flashed. And they're filtering them to right here. Then what Endpoint will do is they'll bounce nades off of yellow like that, behind their lurk smoke, and do massive damage. Or if they don't want to nade stack it, what they'll do is they'll bounce a Molotov off of yellow behind it. And then with this lurk smoke, and with the smoke that lands down there, the only place that the T's can effectively go to is along this wall here, which can be held from down behind this side, or can be peeked very easily from 51, where you'd have the advantage. So essentially, Endpoint's unique style of taking ramp control isn't taking ramp control, but is instead filtering the T side into their own traps, where they will then be able to nade stack them, force them out of angles with Molotovs, or flash and kill them. Another thing this style of play allows for Endpoint to do is play 2 people at A more than 3 people at A, which is a bit rare. A lot of teams will typically start with 3 people towards A, and they wouldn't have somebody that's able to pick up a mid-rush that early. Endpoint, however, A can still do that because they throw a flash for the Ivy player to take Ivy, the flash that I showed earlier, and take control of yellow, and then he could rotate back to mid really easily. But because of how they're filtering the T side into their nades, it also enables 2 players at A to get a lot of damage done, where typically you would need 3. What I find most fascinating about this, though, is that Endpoint would essentially beat Endpoint. If Endpoint ran into a team that played the same way that Endpoint play on CT, they would probably get hammered on their T side, because Endpoint's aggressive style towards ramp would then get immediately shut down by the nades. And it makes me wonder whether Endpoint developed the CT side specifically to counter their own T side. Hey guys, thanks for watching and supporting this video. I know that I have been warmly welcomed here on our YouTube channel, and it's been really encouraging and motivated me to make more videos. As you can see on screen right now, here are some top picks for videos that are upcoming that I think you guys might enjoy. If any of them seem particularly exciting to you, make sure you guys leave a comment about what you want to see next. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys want to support me further, make sure you check out my own channel, or you can check me out on Twitter and Twitch. I do viewer reviews where I will demo review my viewers' demos. So if you're interested in having me review a demo of yours, make sure you check out my Twitter, because that's where I will announce when I'm doing those types of streams. Anyway, thanks for all the support, guys. Really appreciate it. Bye-bye.